Hi, I hope everyone is well today. Welcome to this special live edition of Spirit Guided. How is everyone today? Let me know in the chat. I hope you're excited to start your Spirit Guided life with me today. Like I said, let me know in the chat. Like I already say, see people from all over the world. It's amazing. I see Sharon from Vancouver and Annette from California and Ciel from Spain and Andra from Germany and whoa, this is going fast. Doria from Angola and Katrin from Switzerland and Jonathan from the US, from Colorado. We have Australia in the house, woohoo. Scotland, Jillian, Eugene. Really, really excited to have all of you here with me today. So, also, if you know anyone who would be interested to join us today, there's a share link. I always forget if it's here or there. For me, it's here. So I think for you, it's there. You can click it and invite anyone who would be interested in watching the show with you today. And also, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, then be aware that I'm not in the chat over there. I'm in the chat on Crowdcast. There's a link in the description on YouTube and Facebook. So come on over here to Crowdcast to join everyone and participate in the chat and see everything that I'm talking about. And lastly, if you have any tech issues here on Crowdcast, then usually what you need to do is just reload the page, refresh your browser, and that usually solves the problems. So now let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Yamile Yemoonyah, and I'm a spirit guide medium, which means that I can connect people with their spirit guides. I'm also an award-winning Hay House author and a spiritual growth coach. And over 20 years ago, my spirit guide physically appeared in my bedroom in the middle of the night. And since then, I've helped thousands of people connect with their own spirit guides through my one-on-one readings, courses, workshops, and my award-winning book, The 7 Types of Spirit Guides. And you can find me at my very, very beautiful and new website, SpiritGuided.com. And I'll put that in the chat for you in case you haven't seen it yet, because it is brand new. If you find any kinks or bugs, please let me know. Like I said, it's new. Yeah, not everything is perfect yet. So also, if you haven't read my book yet, you can get it at my website. You can also get it at Amazon. It's available as ebook, paper book, audiobook. It's also available in Lithuanian, that's completely new, in Italian, French, and Mandarin. Did I forget one? No. And English, of course. So, and if you've read the book already, I would be super, super grateful if you could leave a written or even a video review on Amazon, because this really makes a difference and helps me get the book into the hands of more people who need to read it. All right. So today we are here to celebrate the launch of my new website, like I said. Now, why should you care about my website? This new website wasn't just about making the old one prettier. It is the culmination of a lot of thought and work on my side, literally months and months, if not years, to provide you with more support and help on your quest to live a spirit-guided life. And living a spirit-guided life really means connecting with your spirit guides so they can help you develop your spiritual gifts, live your purpose, and unlock your personal and professional success. And over the last few years, I've helped people connect with their guides, like I said, mainly through one-on-one readings. But after the launch of my book, that became a bit unsustainable because there are just so many hours in the day, and the demand for readings became too much for me to fulfill. I'm currently still booked all the way into January, and I had to double my prices to slow things down a bit. because I started feeling overwhelmed and a bit burned out. So I needed a new way to help more people instead of just doing the one-on-ones. And I also needed a way to support those of you who are already connected to their guides and need a way of practicing their spirit guide communication skills. So today I want to share with you why it's essential to follow your spirit guide's call now, the 3 stages of a spirit guided life, the number 1 action step for each stage, how to implement these action steps, and how I can help you along the way. And after that, we'll do a Q&A, and you can ask me any questions you might have. Okay, so let's start by answering the question why it's essential to follow your spirit guide's call now. To do so, I want to read a short passage from my book. And the passage is called Spiritual Activism, and you can find it on page 235 in case you have the book already. And I want to share that with you. So, spiritual activism. You incarnated in this lifetime to make this world a better place. We need less divisiveness, abuse, and fear. All this has the potential not just to destroy humanity, but also many of the other species that live on this planet, not to mention the environment itself. Our self-destructive behavior also affects the other dimensions and realms, since we're all interconnected in ways we can't even comprehend yet. Changing this for the better is a task all light workers agreed to take on before they were born. Each of us does it in our own way, using our unique skills, talents, and gifts. I call this work spiritual activism. It's the act of taking spiritual principles and applying them in the physical world. We do so to create a more inclusive, collaborative, and peaceful place for ourselves, our family, our community, and the world at large. Since you're a light worker who is also a spirit worker, and I'll explain that later, your spiritual activism takes the form of being a bridge between the spirit world and the human world. You're like a straw through which spirit flows from one to the other. You're essentially a medium, not in the traditional sense of delivering messages from spirits, unless that's something you want to do, but in the sense that energies that flow from the spirit world can manifest in the physical world through you. This may happen through your creative endeavors as a painter, writer, gardener, or cook, or through your work with children, animals, or the environment, or through your life as a stay-at-home dad, an accountant, a student, or an early retiree. The important point is that you're making this world a better place through your actions inspired by spirit. To be effective in this task, you want to let spirit move you to take action every day, even if it's just one tiny thing, like answering someone's question on the internet, or perhaps one big thing, like setting up a nonprofit to keep your favorite forest clean. As long as you're acting on spiritual principles like love, compassion, and kindness, you're functioning as a bridge between the worlds and therefore as a spiritual activist. So that's why it's important that you really take this seriously and don't tell yourself that you have to wait until your kids are out of the home, or until you get that degree, or whatever else you're telling yourself. The time is now, because we live in turbulent times and we need you, because there is only one you. No one else can do your job here in the world as a light worker. So that's why I do what I do. I want to help you lead a spirit-guided life and become a spiritual activist, so we can all live in a world that's more inclusive, collaborative, and peaceful. And I started this journey over 20 years ago, and I would love to be your earth guide while you take that journey. It's not always easy, and it's not something you can do in a weekend. In fact, there are 3 stages you will go through. And let me walk you through these 3 stages. I know I've talked about them before in emails, but today I want to add the number 1 action step for each stage and how to implement these action steps and how I can help you along the way. So here we go. Stage number 1 is the spiritual seeker. If you are a spiritual seeker, you are fairly new to the spiritual path and recently went through an awakening experience. And this often happens during transformational and sometimes traumatic experiences in life, like losing a loved one, dealing with a serious physical or mental health issue, losing a job, going through a divorce, being the victim of crime, or similar situations. This dark night of the soul can, at times, be intense and feel like mental and emotional turmoil. It's not easy. And at times, you might ask yourself if you lost your mind. And it can also be a more gradual process that does not seem to be triggered by any specific event, but rather an internal opening up or a calling. Either way, you feel more sensitive and emotional than before, which can be tricky to navigate and cause you to retreat and seek solitude. Maybe you're not as social as you were before. And your interest in spirituality rises and you are eager to learn more. You are not sure why, but you feel very drawn to topics like spirit guides, crystals, herbalism, astrology, aliens, angels, shamanism, psychics, chakras, recurring numbers, etc. You might actively hide this new interest from family and friends to avoid ridicule and judgment. Or you might tell everyone about your new insights, join lots of spiritual Facebook groups, and spend your evenings reading every book you can get your hands on. Either way, it feels like something is happening to you that goes beyond anything you have experienced before. You can't really explain it, and you are looking for answers. And you are worried that being spiritual means that you have to sacrifice the things that are really important to you, like your family, your friends, your job, your house, your income, etc. Spoiler alert, you don't have to sacrifice that, just to make that very clear. You do not have to move to the Himalayas to be spiritual. But a part of you knows you are at the beginning of an exciting journey that can lead you out of the difficulties you are currently facing and out of an unfulfilling, seemingly meaningless life. You sense that you have the opportunity to create a life of purpose and impact. So that's the spiritual seeker who recognizes themselves in this description. Let me know in the chat. And while you do that, here is the biggest challenge you face as a spiritual seeker. You suffer from spiritual confusion and disorientation. You are confused, you feel stuck, and don't know where your path leads you. Am I right? So, we have a few people who say that they recognize themselves. Not too many, which is great, actually, because that means that you have already gotten through that stage. But we have some people. We have Eugene, Annabelle, Sufasukaina. I hope I'm saying your name right. Jillian says me. Sonia says, yes, I broke open again or deeper in July. Yes, also this is cyclical. That's very true. We have Ciel says yes, and Bronwyn says she's a spiritual seeker for sure. And Jonathan. All right, so now the solution to this confusion is to acknowledge that you are being called by your guides to work with them, accept the call, and learn to receive guidance from them so they can help you reorient yourself in this new expanded reality, because that's what it is, going through that phase of basically being broken open to this new expanded reality can be confusing. And so, yeah, you need to learn to connect with your guides, accept the call that they want to work with you, and learn to receive guidance from them. And it took me almost 15 years to understand this and take action. And I'm here to make sure you can get through the stage much, much faster. It does not have to take you 15 years. That's why I wrote like my book that I just read from. And if you are a spiritual seeker, I really wrote it with you in mind. It will teach you how to connect with your spirit guide and get their guidance. So your action step for today is to get the book and read it. And I'll share the link in the chat. Here you go. This is where you can get my book. And once you read the book, then you'll be ready for the next stage. So the next stage is the light worker. And as a light worker, you overcame the transformational and sometimes traumatic transition that started you on your spiritual path and defined stage 1 as a spiritual seeker. You now have settled into a new, more expanded reality. And you accept that there is more to the world than what we can see, hear, or touch. And you understand that life does not end after we leave the human body, and you have experienced intuitive or synchronistic guidance, even if you don't always fully trust it yet, don't understand where the information is coming from and what to do with it. You have also found one or more spiritual practices you are seriously exploring, be it Reiki, tarot, yoga, astrology, or something else. And you probably practice your favorite spiritual modality on yourself or even on friends and family. Maybe you'd like draw a tarot card every day, or you just do it for fun for your friends. And so, but you tell yourself that it's just for fun and that you could never do this for real. However, you are very pleased when you get positive feedback because you secretly dream of making spirituality a bigger part of your life and maybe even earn a living from it or incorporate its principles into your chosen work. You want a way to support yourself that has purpose and meaning instead of a job that just pays the bills. And your biggest challenge is negative self-talk. You don't believe in your own abilities, don't think you are special or gifted enough to lead the life you secretly dream of, and therefore keep feeling stuck and unsure about how to proceed with your life. So you seek guidance from the outside, from psychics, mediums, astrologers, shamans, and hope that they can tell you what your purpose is and what to do next. You might also look for validation by reading more books, taking more classes, earning more certifications to find a detailed roadmap that tells you exactly what to do and gives you guaranteed results. Who recognizes themselves in this description? I'm really curious to see. And also remember, these are general like descriptions. It might not 100% fit you, but if it fits you in general, then let me know. So meanwhile, here's the purpose of the light worker stage. It's to develop trust and faith in yourself and in the universe. When you do trust in yourself and the universe, your natural spiritual abilities will come to the surface. Your purpose presents itself and your path unfolds in front of you. So let me see in the chat. So I'm going through it just to see. Annabelle says she's going to train in Reiki very soon. So you're probably like going into the light worker stage. Amazing. Jonathan says tarot card in the morning. There you go. Annabelle says, I've never believed in myself, but that's changing quickly now. Amazing. Bronwyn says astrology and philosophical alchemy. Wow, interesting. Here, Loyada says, yep, that's me. Erica says, trip down memory lane here. Yes. Annabelle says, yeah, that's me. Sukaina says, me. There's quite a few who say me. Loyada, Monica, Jeannie, Doria, Andrea, Jillian. Yeah, Doria, I know we've talked about this. Jonathan says, I see elements of this too. Yes, so it's not like you're always 100% in one stage and not at all in the other. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes it's a bit cyclical. Sarah says, that sounds familiar. Elena says, me. Eugene says, I see this in me too. Liz says, yes. Doria. Sharon says, at times. Jonathan says, trust in self or the universe is just so broken. Exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. I was there myself. Sonia says, I charge for astrology and angel channeling sessions, but I didn't use to take money because I saw people better than me. Now realizing it's a relationship with the client, a fit that makes things work. We'll come to this one with the next stage. Andrea says, decoding dreams. Yes, that's also a good one. Sukaina says, magic as way of awakening. Yes, that's also a good one. Sue says, I'm quite a way down this path. I'm training and practicing with clients. We'll get to that in a little bit. Carolyn says, I just came out of this phase and it meant stepping out of my comfort zone and diving into mediumship. Amazing. Woohoo. And Sarah says, I've been involved with tarot and pendulum dowsing for a long time now. All right. So it took me going broke and moving back in with my parents to master the stage. And to avoid that fate for you, I'm going to help you practice your spirit guide communication skills on a regular basis by launching Spirit Guide Society, where you will get to develop your spiritual abilities and gain the trust and confidence you need to advance to stage 3, the spirit worker. So Spirit Guide Society will open its doors in about a month. And if you want to be part of it, you can now sign up for the waitlist, which is obviously free and there's no obligations whatsoever. But you can sign up for the waitlist to be notified so you don't miss it. So if you are a light worker, your action step for today is to click, hold on, I forgot the button. Give me one sec. There you go. Is to click the green button below that just turned up and sign up for the free waitlist. Again, that's free, no obligations. Just sign up and see if you like it. I will talk more about Spirit Guide Society over the next month. But this is like the big thing that's new that I really created for light workers. So you can start to learn to trust in your own abilities, use them on yourself and other people with confidence, and then move on into the next stage, which is the last stage on our path to living a spirit-guided life. And that's the spirit worker. And some of you are already in it because you talked about things that I will talk about now. So not everyone wants to become a spirit worker, and that's okay. It's a calling similar to how others feel called to be, I don't know, an artist, a physicist, a nurse, whatever. It's about sharing your personal interests, talents, and gifts with the world. And as a spirit worker, you have been on the spiritual path for at least a few years, maybe even decades. And you have developed a spiritual belief system that gives your life meaning. You have found a way to receive guidance from the spirit world and trust it most of the time. You have also developed an arsenal of spiritual tools that you use to help others on a professional or semi-professional level. That's what makes you a spirit worker. And the income from your spiritual work might not be enough to sustain you, but you are not driven by money. Instead, the impact you make on other people's lives motivates you. The desire to step deeper into your purpose and live a meaningful life keeps you moving forward on your spiritual path. And people come to you for spiritual help because they sense that you are connected to a deeper truth and wisdom that comes from beyond our 3D world and that they don't have access to. You might not have a spiritual community to support you, and so you might turn to social media to connect to your favorite spiritual authors, teachers, and influencers for inspiration and support. But sometimes you might wonder what their secret to success is. How do they get to be so successful in their spiritual careers while you struggle to attract enough clients to even support your tarot card addiction, let alone pay your rent or mortgage? You are dedicated, you love what you do, and you're not asking for much. So why are you blocked from manifesting even the basics? Sometimes you simply really feel let down by your spirit guides. Why aren't they helping you? So who here recognizes themselves as a spirit worker or has been in this phase, in that phase that you really wonder, why are your spirit guides not helping you? Why are you struggling? Why can't you manifest the things you need in your life, even though you know you are doing the work you're supposed to be doing here? So, let me know in the chat. While I share some things spirit guide workers struggle with as well. You might tell yourself that spiritual people don't need to have a beautiful house, a fancy car, or even a functioning washing machine. Maybe you tell yourself wanting these things is unspiritual. You might even wear your lack of material success as a badge of honor, as a protection, really, and as proof that you are spiritually more advanced than the rest of the world because you do not succumb to greed and selfishness. And I'm saying this because this is not easy to accept that you think this way sometimes, and you don't have to say it in the chat, but just for yourself, recognize if you have thoughts like this sometimes. So this is the biggest challenge for a spirit worker. You believe, and this is very important, so listen, you believe that the material and the spiritual realms are opposites, and you need to move from one to the other, from the material to the spiritual. And money seems to symbolize everything that is wrong with the material world. So you kind of repel money because you think you need to get away from the material to the spiritual. And in a lot of spirit workers think that money is not spiritual. However, true spiritual mastery includes successfully navigating the earth plane, since it is part of the greater spiritual reality, not separate from it. And this is really, really important. So I'll say this again. True spiritual mastery includes successfully navigating the earth plane, since it is part of the greater spiritual reality. It's not separate. And success in mastering the earth plane is measured by our ability to win abundance without becoming slave to greed. As a spirit worker, you do not have to live a self-sacrificing life to live your purpose. And I had this for the longest time. So if you are at this point, I totally get it. It's not about giving up all your dreams, desires, and comforts in order to serve others. Every single day before I start work, I say a little prayer, and I say, I dedicate the next few hours to joyfully serve the highest good of all, including my own, because I am also part of the all. And it's important that I am okay too, that I have everything I need. Otherwise, I can't serve. You are a powerful and wise spiritual being and a human being that functions much better when you don't have to worry about earthly practicalities like paying the rent or mortgage. In fact, the more resources you have, including money, the bigger your impact on the world can be. So your biggest challenge as a spirit worker is that your beliefs about money don't allow you to create the abundance you need to make the impact you want to make in the world. But your biggest opportunity is to realize that creating abundance in all its forms is part of your spiritual path. In the end, it's all about self-love and self-worth. And this is a journey I have taken over the last 5 years or so. And I'm working on an offer specifically for spirit workers that I will hopefully launch in January. But your action task for today is to also sign up for the Spirit Guide Society waitlist, because we will work on our money mindset and our ability to receive abundance in all its forms there as well. So again, click that green button and join us in Spirit Guide Society, or at the moment for the waitlist. Again, free. You don't have to, there's no obligations. Just sign up so that you get notified when the doors to Spirit Guide Society open up. So I'm going to check the chat. You guys had a lot to say about this one, I can see. Where are we? Where are we? So Sukaina says, I'm going to live with my parents again as I am broke. Not laughing. I know that's not funny. I'm laughing because I've been there. So I totally get where you are. It's not fun. Sarah says, I don't see the green button. You're probably on... Are you on mobile, Sarah? So if you're on like your laptop, the green button is right under the video. If not, I can also type it in the chat. Give me 1 sec. There you go. I just shared the link to the waitlist in the chat. All right. So Erica says yes. Kathleen says me. Sometimes it works and sometimes not. Yeah. Then you're on your way. That's good. Stuart says Sue says I recognize this too. Steve says I wonder how spiritual leaders get the deep insights that they share and how I might get to that. That's about learning to listen. And that has to do with the light worker phase, because as a light worker, what you really learn is to listen. Again, having that trust, because we get messages from our guides all the time, even if you don't realize it, because you're not able to listen yet. You might be able to listen to humans because we're used to that language, but you might not be used to listening to the universal language, which is very different from spirit guide language. And so the more you practice that listening, and that's exactly what I want to do with you guys in Spirit Guide Society, the more you practice listening, the more you get these deep insights, because they don't really all come from you. They come from like spiritual beings around you in the world, etc. And so the more you learn to listen, the more insights you get. Sonia says, I love my work, but I'm broke. Yes. A good friend just raised my prices because I couldn't do it. Well, that's a really good friend. Yay. Jonathan, by the way, that's a good tip. Get your friends to do it for you. Jonathan, I did think that about my spirit guides at one point, but I recognize now that they have a different schedule than me. Yes, definitely. And also, one of the things, and I'm not saying that's you, Jonathan, but sometimes spiritual people think that it's all about just like meditating and becoming more and more spiritual, as in like going away from the material, going towards the spiritual, and then they become more and more absent in the world. They don't participate in the world. They like just live like recluses, more or less. And the more you retreat from the world, the less action you take in the world. But to create abundance and to attract money to you, or to even like attract opportunities to you and resources, be it like a new car, be it like a house that's big enough for your entire family, it doesn't matter what it is. You need to be in the world and participate in the world, because it's a action reaction. We are not in times that we should be sitting in the Himalayas and just meditate. That's not our job, at least not for the people right here. There might be some exceptions that are still there and doing that. That's great. But most of us here, that's not for us. We incarnated in the world to be in the world, to act in the world, to make a difference in the world. And only if we take action, then the universe will help us and react to us. The universe reacts to our actions, if that makes sense. So your spirit guides can't help you if you don't take action. Jane says, this is me, but I often felt alone and pushed back from others in my family and community. Now I feel much support, and I'm seeing a way to financial wellness. Yay, amazing. I know that a lot of like also spiritual people feel that they feel not accepted by family and community. Oftentimes that's a sign that you are supposed to go out there and find your community, find a different community, because there are always people out there that will love and accept you for who you are. They might not be around you right now, but they are out there. I mean, we are a lot of people on this planet. It's impossible that there's not one person that you cannot relate to, or they cannot relate to you. So this is almost always a sign to listen. The universe is saying, listen, this is not a good fit anymore with your friends that you have now, for example. Go and find new ones that are more on your level. So Maria says, yes, childhood experiences led me all along to what is now a solid path. And I am being invited to present, to guide, I'm not sure if it says present or present, but both works, to guide others, most recently an Indigenous group in Canada. Not to say there have not been doubts. Yes, well, yeah, doubts is part of the journey always, but it becomes less and less and less over time. And I know that Maria has been on the spiritual path for decades and is like very advanced, and is doing really good work in the world. Jonathan says, but there's no virtue in needless pain and poverty. Exactly. And nothing my guides want me to be in. Absolutely. Sonia says, I need to do some work here. We all do, Sonia. Annabelle says, being fulfilled and content is important. Yes, it is. Sarah says, I feel like I'm connected to my spirit guides' energy and that they do help me in my life. But when I ask them to reveal their names to me or to reveal specific information to me, I'm blocked. I want you to do one thing, to forget the word blocked, because it's not that you're blocked. A lot of people ask me that question. You're not blocked. It's just that either like they give you the information in a way that you just haven't learned to understand yet. That's not a block. It's just like a skill, just like learning, I don't know, Italian. If someone speaks to you Italian and you don't know a word, then there's no blockage. It's just that you don't speak the language. That's all. So then it's about like learning the language. Or sometimes your guides will not tell you these kinds of information because they want you to not focus on these, let's say, human needs to know a name or to know if they lived in 1562 in Italy, because that's not really important. One of my mediumship mentors, his name is Tony Stockwell. He has a guide who only shows up as a light. He has to have that guide for 30 years, if not longer. He never learned the name. He never saw what the guide really looks like other than light, and he just calls him Star. At some point, he just said, "This is what I'm going to call you," and that works. The point is that if you get messages, they give you good information, and that can come in all kinds of ways. Then that's all it needs. And your guides sometimes, especially if you're like further along the path, your guides don't want you to focus on these things, and they will just like give you the information that you need and not even answer these questions because they're like, you're way past this, you don't need this, just focus on my energy and focus on like what I'm saying, basically. So that could be the two reasons that you don't get their name. Sonia says, my teacher and friend is really pushing this, saying that this is how we change the world, when the light workers become rich and spend with our hearts. Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Because the way we spend money really, really can change the world. Because the way we spend money is what businesses react to. So if we don't give our money to businesses that pollute the environment, then they will listen. And other companies that do pay attention will get the money and do stuff, do good things. So yes, this is very important. And that says, is social media a requirement? I will not use it. No, it isn't. It's a way that a lot of people do attract clients, but you don't have to. I would invite you to, and I'm not trying to convince you at all, absolutely not, but I do invite you to think about why you do not want to use social media, and if that is really a valid reason, or if you could social media use in a way that is aligned with your values, if that's the problem. Ravati says, love this. True spiritual mastery is receiving abundance in all of its forms. Yes, when I came across this, I was also like, yes, this is it. And the funny thing is, I think I have to look this up again, but I don't know if you guys have heard about like, I forget what it's really called, but in astrology, you are born at a certain time at a certain place, and that really defines your ascendant, and your ascendant is somewhere. So for example, mine is Pisces, 27 degrees and 30 minutes. And then you can look up the Sabian symbol for that specific degree in the astrological chart where your ascendant is. And that has always a little like wisdom. And I think this one was for my ascendant, so I really love it. Anyway, so Sarah says, yes, I'm on my mobile. My computer is broken. I hope you have found it. And I just, shared the link. So I hope that worked for you. Raquel says, would you be able to inform us as to how much the course will cost? It's not a course, it's an ongoing membership. And I will reveal all the details over the coming weeks. So don't worry, you will definitely hear about that. Sonia, this is fascinating. I really like your energy and generosity. Oh, thank you. I have to go to kids' B-Day party. All right, you can watch the replay after. Raquel says, how long is the course? Again, it's not a course. It's an ongoing community that you can be part of, and you can come and go as you wish. So you can stay as long as you want to. It doesn't matter in what country you are. Raquel also wants to know she's going to be in another country. It doesn't matter as long as you have internet, you can participate from wherever. Jonathan says, being a recluse has never helped me. Connection is so vital. Exactly. And also, and this is important, we are going from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. So we are like right in the middle of the transition. And Aquarius is not the sign of the recluse. Pisces is. So we are going from like spirituality as like so yeah, in the age of Pisces, there were a lot of like things like monks, nuns, people that lived in the Himalayas or wherever. Jesus went into the desert by himself. All these kinds of things is like drawing back from the world. That's where this whole thing comes from, like that going away from the material to the spiritual. But the age of Aquarius is all about connection. It's all about making connections with other people. It's about making connections between different ideas, between different cultures, between different views of the world. It's all about connection. So if you want to go with the flow, then you need to like be in the world and participate, because that's what the energy over the next 2,000 years will be about. Larry says, I was late joining. No worries, you can watch the replay. It will be right here. You can just come back and watch it. You can come right back after this. The replay, it will be here 30 seconds after we leave. All right, so Sarah understands about manifesting to attract what you desire in your life. Annabelle says, I'm hoping my guide will show herself to me. I'm sure she will. You just have to learn how to do it exactly. And that will also be, so there will be a course in Spirit Guide Society. And that course is the one that's for like the people who haven't connected with their spirit guides yet. That will be in there. It will be a completely new version of my old course. And when you join, you go through the course first so that you have like the basics, and then you join the rest of us, and then you can practice what you learned over as long as it takes you to really make that connection, create that relationship with your guides, and learn to receive their messages. Sarah, go back to the replay later. It was a bit too long to explain again. And there he says, he's still working on the old course at the moment. So should I continue working on it still? Absolutely. Keep going. And then when you want to join Spirit Guide Society, there will be the new course. And this is something, the course will be the new course in Spirit Guide Society. Will probably be free for everyone who joins, so that everyone can be on the same page. So you can just go through the new course as well if you want to. All right, so who has any questions? If you have questions, yeah, please use them. Well, it doesn't matter. You can put them in the chat if you want to. And then I will be happy to answer them. I see a few people have asked a question in the Q&A section. Here's someone asking about their spirit guides. I'm not doing spirit guide readings today, so I can't answer that question. Then Andrea wants to know, can spirit guide visit you unknowingly and leave messages that affect your actions later? They can't like make you do stuff that you don't want to do. Absolutely not. But they can talk to your higher self, and you might not realize it. And then you do things that are inspired by your spirit guides, but your lower self doesn't recognize that's what's happening. So in that sense, yes, but they can't make you do something you do not want to do. Caitlin says, have you experienced communicating with spirit guides through automatic writing? Yes, it's not my main thing, but I have done it before. Yes, but a lot of people like it. So well, actually, I shouldn't say that, because my book was definitely, obviously inspired by my spirit guides. So I wrote an outline that was very kind of like, I knew exactly these are the chapters, because I have to do that for my publisher. These are the chapters, these are the sections in every chapter. And then I sat down every day and I knew, okay, I'm working on chapter 3, section 5, whatever. And I had a headline for each section. So I kind of knew what I was going to talk about, but then I sat down and then things would just kind of flow through me. So yes, I definitely work with automatic writing. See, sometimes we do things and don't even realize it, or we do realize it, but then when we talk about it, we kind of don't realize it. Frank says, I can't get plugged into my guide. Why? Probably because no one has ever shown you how to do it. Connecting and communicating with your guides is just like, it's a skill, just like, I don't know, skiing or learning Italian or building a website. Everyone can do it. Not everyone's going to be a professional in the sense of that you help other people, or that you connect other people with their guides, but everyone can connect with their own guides. And usually people try it once or twice. Maybe they do a meditation on YouTube and it doesn't work, and then they think they're blocked. That's not the case. The thing is, just like any other skill, you need someone to show you how to do it, and then you need to practice it. And you need to practice it more than once. So that's why I'll have Spirit Guide Society. Like I said, there will be the course that teaches you how to connect with your guides, and then you get to practice as long as it takes. Inside Spirit Guide Society, you will get practice exercises on a regular basis, and so that you can get that trust and that confidence that you need to go into the light worker stage and beyond. Andrea asks, how do you choose a field of study when you are a gumbo of spiritual gifts? I love this description. You just do them all. You do them all until you realize, oh, actually, I don't like this one as much. And then you leave that one. And then you maybe pick up another one. Or actually, even better, try pick 3 and practice these. Practice 3 that are your favorite at the moment. Don't think about it too much. Just pick 3, practice them, see which one you don't like as much as the other 2. Then drop that one, add a next one. Practice these 3 until you have one that you don't like as much as the other 2. Drop that one, add another one. And so you keep going until you realize, oh, okay, here's the 1, 2, 3 that I actually really, really like. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3. And then you go and practice these, even more. So that's how I would do it. Hope that makes sense. Loyata wants to know, do nature spirits only help with manifesting and abundance and not spiritual development? Like we just said today, manifesting and abundance is spiritual development. So yes, they do help with spiritual development. And they also help with learning to communicate with spirit guides, because to communicate with them, you have to know how to do it. So that's automatically baked in. They help you with your psychic development, mediumship development, abundance, manifesting, all that stuff. So that's their main thing. Yes. Maria says, I've always had trust in the spirit realms. The movement between that, as I know part of me lives there, and managing the mundane and loved ones who function at a different level is the challenge and probably a lesson. Any suggestions? Yeah, that's a lesson in patience and a lesson in knowing that we all have different tasks in our lifetimes. And sometimes these tasks don't go well with each other, but because they are important. These are important people in our lives, especially family members, but also friends. There's always something to learn from them. So it's not just that they learn from us, because sometimes as spiritual people, we think that we are more evolved in a spiritual way. I'm not always sure that's true, because sometimes other people are just as spiritually evolved. They just don't think about it as much as we do. But anyway, so there's always something to learn. Maybe that other person is very much about like the money and all about like earning money and not about spiritual stuff at all. And we think, oh my God, that's like not evolved or something. But then maybe this person can actually help us see that more, going after goals, really setting deadlines, learning how to finish projects, all that kind of stuff. Maybe that's exactly what we need. So I always go about these things as in two things. When there's someone that's difficult, where the relationship is difficult, I do two things. One, where's the connection? Find the connection. There's always a connection, not just like the randomness of being born into the same family, even though that on a spiritual level that's not random, but look for the connection. Is there a similar interest? Do we like the same jokes? Do we like the same movies? Do we both really like going for hiking or whatever it is? Find a connection. It's number one, because if you find the connection, it's easier to relate to them and to like open the door, if you will. And then number two, what can I learn from them? And again, that's very similar. Just look for something that they're good at, something that you don't have, something that you want to learn. And again, that's another door, so to say, so that it can bring you two together. And you don't have to become like their best friend. You don't have to like spend all your time with them, but find the connections, because there's a reason that you're in the same family, or that you're friends, or for some reason stuck together in life. I hope that helps. Ciel says, can time synchronicities like 1919, 1313 be a sign that your spirit guides want you to pay attention? Yes, that's exactly what it is. They're often known as angelic numbers, but really they can come from any type of spirit guide. And that's exactly what it is. It's like, hey, pay attention. It's like a flashlight, like, hello, pay attention. We're trying to connect with you. That's what it is. So yes, pay attention. Next question. Can you please share some of the self-care which has worked for you over the years to avoid burnout? Yes. So this is the first thing that I can think about, is something that you can only do if you work for yourself. But I only work afternoons. So I only work for about 5-6 hours a day, only in the afternoon. In the morning, I usually do not set an alarm, because I hate setting alarms and it freaks my dog out. So I just wake up whenever I want to, usually around 9. Then I go for a long walk. And then I have breakfast and I read a little bit. And then after lunch, I start working. And for me, that works really well. And I'm more focused when I work. I get more done in these hours than if I worked, like, let's say, 8 or 9 hours. What else do I do? I always make sure that I have friends that inspire me. So yes, sometimes you have like relationships that become more difficult, and that's fine. I mean, relationships go through up and downs, right? But then I always make sure that I have friends that inspire me, that like have gone through something that, or like have already reached a goal that I want to reach, for example. So that I'm always reminded of, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to go, and that is like really helpful for me. Then a third thing is like that I can recommend is to be aware of your values, especially since now at the moment we have the North Node and Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is about values. And money. Money is about values, because where you spend your money, that's what you value, right? So become aware of your values. What do you value in life? Really, and when I say become aware, if I ask you what are your top 3 to 5 values, you need to be able to answer that. Because if you know that, let's say, family, freedom, and abundance are your 3 values, then that helps you to make decisions. And this is because then you can say, okay, so I have this decision to make. Does this fit in with my values? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, great. I'll go for it. No, it's not for me. Thank you very much. And I learned this from doing readings for people, because this is something that spirit guides said again and again and again to clients. And so I took that on board as well. So I would say these 3 things. Janet, can my guides help me get rid of spirits that won't leave? They are not good spirits. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And this is a whole different topic that I definitely want to create something for. I don't have it yet, but it's on my list, because I get more and more people who are in that situation, that they're bothered by spirits, by negative spirits. And it's not an easy thing to deal with or to answer in one sentence. What I can say now is boundaries. Oftentimes when people are bothered by spirits, it's a sign that they don't have good boundaries. And that also shows in life, so outside of spirituality. It shows in relationships with people, for example. So ask yourself if you have boundary issues in your life, in relationships with other people, and really learn about setting boundaries. Sometimes, not always, not saying this is you, but sometimes people who are bothered by spirits, especially negative spirits, have gone through traumatic experiences, oftentimes abusive experiences, and that's why they have like these boundary issues, because that's what abuse does. It like takes down your boundaries, because people overstep your boundaries all the time. And so you either never learn to have these boundaries, or they are so thin that they're basically non-existent. So if this is the case for you, then if you have gone through abuse in your life, learn about abuse in the sense of like how to prevent it in the future. Read books about it, educate yourself, because then you see the signs faster, and by that means that is literally setting up boundaries by saying, oh, here, this is a red flag, this is where my boundary is, I do not let anyone overstep that like boundary. So that's highly important. Even if you have never been in like any kind of abusive situation, if you have bad boundaries, it's actually really good to learn about like how abusive situations work, because that's the main thing. It teaches you boundaries. And also it helps like, because if your friends or family members are in situations like that, it's easier for you to recognize and easier for you to help them. Anyway, so learn about boundaries in all shapes and forms, because that will also help you with the spiritual boundaries, because spirits that bother you are basically abusive spirits, if you will, and they can see that you don't have like strong boundaries, and so they overstep your boundaries, just like people. And so the more you work on your boundaries on all levels, the less they will annoy you. So ask your spirit guides to help you with your boundary work. Ask them to send you the right people, conversations, books, movies, whatever it is, and then start doing the work and listen when you get like, I don't know, you're on the train and you hear someone talk about a book about abuse and how it has helped them see the red flags. Go get that book, because that's your guides putting you in that situation so you can learn. I hope that helps. Caitlin, have you experienced communicating with spirit guides through automatic writing? We already had that question. Sukaina, first of all, thank you. You're very welcome. I have written down too many questions. As you advised, I'm going to read your book first. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Jonathan, I hear so many spirits all the time, and I'm not sure all of them are guides. How do you tell the difference? It's kind of like with friends. You don't know right away if someone is going to be your friend or not. You just build a relationship over time. So what you want to do, and yeah, you don't go out like into the street and like just invite anyone into your house, right? You first have a little conversation outside, see if you like them. Then you might have a second conversation. Maybe you invite them for coffee over, or you go somewhere to have coffee with them. Maybe next time it's like lunch or dinner, etc., etc. It's the same with with spirits. Sorry, I shouldn't say guides, because you don't know yet if they're your guides. So basically, you realize there's a spirit that wants to connect with you. You go slow, very slow. You don't immediately ask them about like your purpose in life and follow everything they say. You just recognize there's someone. You acknowledge that the spirit is there. You ask them a little bit information about themselves, and that might be a name or something, might just be a feeling, it might just be something that they give you. It can be can be a sound, it can be a smell, it can be all kinds of different things. And then you just slowly build that relationship. And if you realize that one spirit isn't giving you good advice, or it doesn't feel right, or and that like repeats, then set that boundary and push them out. And the opposite, if you feel like it feels really good, they give you like great advice that helps you in life, then you invite them in a little bit further. That's how you do it. And yeah, I talk more about that in my courses and stuff. So, but yeah, that's the general thing I would say about this. Next question: is it possible that our guides communicate? Oops, just jumped. Oh, I lost the question. There. Is it possible that our guides communicate through dreams? Yes, absolutely, of course. If yes, how do I decode them? Lately, I had a few dreams, but I couldn't understand and get the grasp of it. A lot of guides, or or a lot of people get like communications from their guides through their dreams, because when we dream, our ego is basically down, and so it's easier for our guides to give us messages. How to decode them is not by going on the internet and looking up the meaning, because your guides and you have their own communication, their own style of communication, and it's kind of like they can look into your mind and know what things mean for you. So for example, and I use this example a lot, let's say a common symbol for romance is a red rose, right? Like everyone has heard that before. But that does not mean that if your guide shows you a red rose, that it automatically means romance. Because for you, if you had a grandmother whose name was Rose and who loved roses and who had a garden full of roses and always use rose perfume, then the first thing you think about when you see a rose is your grandmother, not romance. So then when you see a rose, then that's probably your grandmother trying to say hello, because she knows that you have that like connection between a rose and her. And so it's the same for all other symbols. So the first thing you want to do if you see a symbol or numbers, we had numbers before, is to think about what it means to you personally. That's the first thing you need to do when you want to decode something. Then you write it down. Write down Rose grandmother. And you keep kind of like a journal where you write down these symbolisms and their meanings, what as they are meaningful to you. And then when you have a dream and you're not sure what it means, then the next thing you can do is get a pack of like tarot cards. First, again, think about, what does this mean to me? Don't think too hard. The minute you wake up, you usually have a feeling of like, this was a good dream. It felt like really inspiring, or it felt like the dream pushed me to do a certain thing, or it made me think about something, or it made me question something. Whatever comes up, that feeling that you have around it, trust that first. Write that down. Trust, like we said earlier in the light worker phase, is like super important that you build that trust. So trust what your sensations are around the dream or the symbols. And write that down. Then think about like, what do these symbols mean to me? Write that down. And then if you're still not sure, you ask your guides, okay, I'm not sure about this. Then you get like a pack of oracle cards or tarot cards. You ask the question, like, and be very specific with your question. Like, I'm not sure. You can say something like, I think this dream is asking me to go for it and apply for this new job. Is that correct, for example? And then you draw a card and see what it says. And the card is not an extra like answer. It's just to clarify what you already thought, or like what your impression was. And so then interpret that card. Do not read the interpretation of the card. Again, look at the card, trust your first impressions of what it means, and then you put the two meanings together. So you have the meaning you already had, what you thought, what it meant, the dream, and then you look at the card and say, oh, does this clarify it? Yes. Okay, great. And then you move on and take action. That's how I would do it. Next question. Have you experienced communicating with spirit guides through automatic reading? We already had that question. We already were here. And here's one more question. I have had a guardian angel in my life for 20 years. A medium friend confirmed my guess, and now I'm wondering if this is a spirit guide. Yes. Angels are one of the 7 types of spirit guide, as I have learned it from my spirit guides. So yes, I mean, any kind of spirit that is guiding you in life and on your spiritual path is a spirit guide. So angels are spirit guides. All right, so let me see. I'll go through the chat really quickly. Is there any questions that we haven't answered yet? Sarah, if you've bought it on Audible, you can go to Audible and go back to where you the confirmation page or somewhere, and there you have the receipt number. So just Google like find receipt number on Audible, and there will be a blog post that explains how to find it. Steve, will there be a curriculum? Yes, I will talk all about that over the next month, definitely. And it will be a little bit like a development circle. Yes. Thank you, Raquel, for liking my book. Sukaina, how can we contact you privately, please? Through my website. So just go through my website. There's a contact form. Bronwyn, I've had a guardian angel. Yes, you already asked that. Monica, do you recommend what kind of tarot card deck for beginners? Pick any one that you really like. Any deck that really speaks to you. It could be a tarot deck. It could be an oracle deck. The one that speaks to your heart, use that. And if you want to like, because there's hundreds out there. So maybe go to heyhouse.com. That's my publisher. They have a lot of tarot decks and oracle decks. Go there, pick one you like. Andre, I'm not sure what you're saying. I don't feel like I can choose it. Happens automatically, all the clairs. And oh, you're talking about that we need to talk about that another time. That's too detailed right now. Sarah, Monica, I use the standard Rider tarot deck, Akashic Tarot. Yeah, that one's fine. But always like just really, if it speaks to you, pick it. If it doesn't, don't. It's not about what other people use. Andrea says, Abiola Abrams, African Goddess deck is my dream deck for first use, being called to read. It's funny because I'm friends with Abiola, totally love her. So yes, that's also a good one, especially because she helps reconnect Black people with their spiritual roots. In a lot of ways, African spirituality is still being demonized, as in, for example, people still believe that voodoo is like talking to the devil, or is evil or negative or anything like that. That's absolutely not true. That's just the media portrays it that way because of colonialism. That's really the only reason. And Abiola does really good work decolonizing spirituality in that sense. Yes, and lots of people are saying you have to, what I said, you have to work with a deck that speaks to you. Oh, here, Jonathan says, Zach Muka, I don't know how to pronounce that name, put out a book on emotional abuse, hard read, but very good on setting boundaries and sticking with them. Thanks for that recommendation. Raquel says, oh, you all are pitching your favorite decks. That's awesome. So she can look at all of them. Sukaina, yeah, you don't have to work with dreams. You can also meditate. There's lots of different ways. I will talk about, so I have one specific way that I teach in my course that will be in Spirit Guide Society. But yeah, I can't get into all of that right now. But yes, you don't have to do it through dreams. There's other ways, definitely. You can start with an oracle deck, for example. Very easy way to do it. Just going through the chat to see if there's anything else. So a few people are saying that I froze. I hope you can see me again. Let me know. Okay, and here's okay, so this will be the last question. Sukaina says, I'm wondering, why should dark spirits get curious about the humans' life and interfere with them? What do they get from you? Yeah, that's a good question. That's a question you can ask any abusive being out there. It's a little bit like a vampire. They feed off your energy, your fear energy. And by making you fear, because really, like, people and spirits who are like that are fearful themselves in a way, and so they make themselves feel better by making other people fearful and feel bad. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes not on purpose. Sometimes it's out of pain, and they don't know how to do it any better. But that's the main reason. There are very, very, very few evil people or evil spirits that really just do it for the joy of it. They are out there, but it's not very common. More common is that people and spirits just do it because they don't know any better, because they think that's the way for them to feed themselves and to survive. That's what I would say. And here's a follow-up question. In this case, aren't they living in the dark and low energy? Therefore, they need help from us instead. And that's a very difficult one. In theory, yes. But if you've ever tried helping someone who doesn't want to be helped, then you know that there are limits, and you can completely ruin yourself by trying to help. And especially if you are a beginner and you don't know what you're doing, I would not do it. Just like back away and let them figure out their own karma. If it's like a friend or a spirit that doesn't hurt you but seems to want to need help, fine, you can try. But again, be extremely careful, because you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. If it's like a person or a spirit that is hurting you, you do not want to get involved. You want to just back away and let either professionals do it, or let them sort them out themselves. Or you can ask your guides to help them, but you do nothing. And this is really important, because I know we're all like these kinds of like helper types, and we want to help and but that's how you end up in really bad situations. So please, please be careful with this. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure to see you again. And so don't forget, if you want to join me on this quest to live a spirit-guided life and create the change you want to see in the world for yourself and your loved ones and your community, and of course the world at large, then come join me when Spirit Guide Society opens its doors, hopefully at the end of September. And I'll put the wait list one more time in the chat. And I will talk about this over the next few months. And you will get all the details down to like, what are we really going to do? What is the price? And all that stuff will come. So here's the link one more time. And thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. All right. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.